Los Angeles, a city once known for dreams and opportunity, is now facing a crisis that no one can ignore. Walk the streets of Hollywood or Venice Beach, and what was once a vibrant metropolis is now overrun by refugee camps and homeless despair.
Don't take my home away. I don't have anything in my life.
What happened to the city of stars? Today, even the police are reluctant to enter Skid Row, where survival is a daily battle. In this documentary, we promise to take viewers on a journey to explore the crisis areas where people are facing despair every day. Number 1. A city is losing its light. You've probably noticed it yourself. The boulevards of Los Angeles, once alive with the bustle of tourists and bright lights, now tell a much different story. Gone are the crowds, the glamour, and the shimmer that once defined this city's spirit. Today, these streets are filled with temporary shelters, piles of discarded items, and the quiet hum of lives that seem to hang by a thread. It's a stark contrast, isn't it? How did a city that symbolized dreams and opportunity become a place where survival is the daily struggle? Take a stroll down Hollywood Boulevard, once the epicenter of fame and excitement, now home to those living without. The sidewalks, once teeming with tourists hoping to glimpse a star, now carry shopping carts filled with everything someone owns. It's not a picture you want to see, but it's the reality many face. And it's not just Hollywood. Across Los Angeles, neighborhoods once bustling with business now house those struggling to get by. Venice Beach, once a place of performers and visitors, now hosts shelters, temporary havens for people who've lost everything. These areas, once symbols of life and vibrancy, are becoming areas of hardship, where vacant buildings stand as a testament to neglect. As you walk through these streets, you can feel the change. The smell of discarded belongings, the sight of abandoned carts, and the quiet desperation that fills the air. Areas like Skid Row have deteriorated so much that even police avoid them. It's not a lack of will. It's that Skid Row has become a no-go zone, a place where survival is a daily battle, and order feels like a distant memory. But it's the personal stories that hit hardest. So here's the question: how much longer can we pretend this isn't happening? Number 2. The scale of the crisis. The numbers speak. Statistics never lie, but they can be overwhelming. Let's look beyond the numbers to understand the lives behind them. In 2025, the homelessness challenge in Los Angeles is no longer a hidden issue. It's an urgent problem displayed on billboards. Nearly 195,000 individuals now live without stable housing. This marks a dramatic 35% increase in just 1 year and an alarming 59% rise since 2013. Take a moment to consider that. This is not gradual. This is an urgent situation unfolding, but it's becoming even more pressing. Of this large group, 75,312 individuals have no access to any form of shelter. More than half, 59.9%, are forced to live in temporary shelters like tents, cars, or on cold concrete. Think about it. More than 1 in 2 people do not have a safe place to rest. This statistic has increased by 27% in just 5 years. Have you ever stopped to consider what these numbers really mean for us as a society? What is the broader impact when children grow up without a stable home? In Los Angeles alone, nearly 30,000 children face homelessness every year. These children are left to deal with mental health challenges, disrupted education, and a future full of uncertainty. Can a city continue to thrive when its youngest generation is facing such hardship? And this is not a short-term issue. Nearly 29,000 individuals are trapped in chronic homelessness, living in extreme poverty year after year. This isn't just a fleeting crisis. This is a long-term reality. People who once viewed homelessness as a worst-case scenario are now waking up to it every day. The bottom line is this: homelessness is not just about tents or streets. It's about the very heart of a city. If these statistics were voices, Los Angeles would be screaming. So, what do you think? With numbers like these, can we sit back and call this normal? Or is it time to demand real change? 30,000 children, nearly 29,000 chronically homeless adults, and over 75,000 without shelter. These are not just numbers. They are urgent calls for action. They demand our attention. Can you hear them? Number 3. The factors behind homelessness. When you think about homelessness, you probably picture temporary shelters and streets filled with discarded belongings. But behind these visible signs of struggle, there are deeper factors at play. What really causes someone to lose everything? Is it just the lack of affordable housing? Or is there something more? Take a moment and think about the high taxes you pay, especially in places like California, where living costs are already sky high. You'd think taxes would be used for good, right? But what happens when there's no support for those already struggling? The reality is, housing prices in cities like Los Angeles have skyrocketed, and people who once lived comfortably are now on the streets because their wages can't keep up. Rent keeps increasing, and people get pushed out. What's the point of working hard if all your money goes to rent and taxes? And then there's the harsh reality that many don't see: medical bills. Healthcare in the US is expensive. Even with insurance, the costs can be overwhelming. Without insurance or savings, one serious accident or illness can wipe out everything you've worked for. One missed paycheck, one medical emergency, and suddenly you're without a roof over your head. The truth is, it's not just one event that pushes someone into homelessness. It's the daily struggles, the lost job, the unexpected medical bills that stack up over time. Maybe you lose your car, maybe your home. Small cracks in the system eventually lead to much bigger failures. People who once lived middle-class lives, people like you, find themselves on the streets. It's not bad luck, it's a broken system. Affordable housing is just one piece of the puzzle. What about the lack of mental health services or the rising poverty rates? For many, there's no safety net to catch them. At the heart of it all is inequality. The system wasn't built to help those who fall behind. One small mistake, and you're out on the street trying to survive. The real question is, why aren't we doing more? What kind of society do we want if we can't take care of the most vulnerable? So, what should we do about it? Do we continue ignoring rising rents, high taxes, and the failing healthcare system? Or do we demand real change? The factors behind homelessness are complex, but the solution is clear. We need to act now. Number 4. A story of unexpected loss. A character who started out with big dreams now finds himself in a dark alley with nothing but broken aspirations. How does a man like this go from working on movie sets to sleeping on the streets of Los Angeles? Michael devoted his life to the Hollywood dream, wiring lights and creating the magic we all take for granted. Now, what does he have to show for it? A makeshift shelter, a shopping cart, and the shattered remains of his dreams. Can you imagine? The very industry he thought would always provide for him now leaves him on the margins of society, struggling just to survive. This isn't about bad luck or bad choices, it's about the system failing. It's the kind of story that doesn't get reported. You won't find it on magazine covers or on the news, but it happens every day. And the worst part? He's not alone. Thousands of people who once lived stable, comfortable lives now find themselves abandoned, victims of an economic system that favors the wealthy and leaves those who once made it to the top to crumble. Many people can't understand the emotional impact of losing it all. It's not just about the acquisition of wealth, it's the feeling of total loss, watching your dreams slowly disintegrate into the cracks in the sidewalk. Mental health struggles, depression, and isolation set in, yet society seemed indifferent. Where was the support? Where were the programs to help people like Michael? His pain was deeper than physical loss. It was a sense of being forgotten, of not being important. How can you rebuild your life when you've lost everything? This cycle is endless, a fight against an invisible force that is pushing you down. And the worst part? You start to wonder if there is any escape, if anyone actually cares. Leave a comment with the words, "The system is broken," because it's time we face the truth. Or "Endless war," because this cycle seems like it will never end. Number 5. Degrees won't save you from the street. They told us education was the great equalizer. In Los Angeles, 2025, it's not even enough to secure a mailbox. Meet Daniel Park, a software engineer with a master's in computer science, someone who should be immune to poverty. But after losing his job due to mass tech layoffs and his home to a flash flood in East LA, he found himself without an address, no degrees, no job, no stability. Welcome to the paradox. In a city where education fails as a shield, what does Daniel face every day? No home address means no job applications. No shower means no interviews. He's not alone. In January 2024, 187,000 people were homeless in California, with 2/3 unsheltered. The crisis is not driven by addiction or mental illness. It's structural, tied to housing unaffordability. Daniel isn't just another case. He's an expert, yet the system ignores him. No safety net, no recovery pathway. This is not the American dream. It's a reality where degrees don't guarantee anything. Homelessness in numbers. 18% rise in national homelessness in 2024. In California, 2 out of 5 homeless are chronically homeless, stuck in long-term poverty. Even educated, skilled people like Daniel don't stand a chance when faced with systemic issues. Dr. Sarah Jacobs, a sociologist at UC, explains, in cities like Los Angeles, the cost of living is so high that no amount of education or work experience is enough for many people to keep up. We've created an economy that only works for the top tier of society. Those already on the edge, due to illness or job loss, slip into homelessness because there are no safety nets. If Daniel can't bounce back, who can? When a master's degree can't buy stability, what happened to meritocracy? If even the best prepared can fall, what hope is left for the rest of us? Education is not a safety net. It never has been. Maybe it's time we question why and what we do next. Number 6. Behind the streets. Skid Row, and Venice Beach. Los Angeles, the city of stars, bright lights, and iconic beaches, has two faces. On one side, you see the glamour, the movie stars, the bustling streets, and the endless sunshine. But on the other side, there's a growing crisis, and you can see it most clearly in two places: Skid Row and Venice Beach. Skid Row used to be a vibrant community, a hub for business, and a place where people struggled but strived to live. But today, over 4,400 people are forced to live in makeshift shelters, constantly at risk. Once a thriving part of the city, Skid Row is now a wasteland. It's filled with abandoned carts, discarded possessions, and tents lining the streets, creating a harsh reality you can't ignore. But what happens to the people living there? Are they just numbers? Or do they have real stories? Stories just like yours? Think about Venice Beach. It was once the epitome of freedom. Artists painting murals, musicians playing on sidewalks, and tourists strolling through the sand. But now, Venice Beach is overwhelmed with tents, and those who once enjoyed the beauty of the beach are now facing the brutal reality of living on the streets. The palm trees that once symbolized California's charm now loom over rows of people struggling to hold on to their last bit of hope. So how did this happen? It's not just about a shortage of affordable housing. It's about invisible barriers that no one seems to discuss. The lack of mental health services, skyrocketing poverty, and a system that feels broken. Skid Row and Venice Beach reveal the impact of ignoring these deeper issues. A report released in January 2024 showed 18% more homelessness than the year before in Los Angeles. But it's not just numbers. People like David, a former teacher, are the face of this crisis. David once had a stable life, but after a health crisis drained his savings, he lost everything. Now, he lives in a tent at Venice Beach, his classroom replaced by a street corner. His story isn't unique. There are thousands just like him. They didn't end up on the streets because of bad luck. They were failed by a system that left them behind. The harsh truth is, Skid Row and Venice Beach aren't just areas in need. They're symbols of a growing crisis. And the question is, what will it take for the city to wake up? Number 7. Natural disasters leave no way out for the poor. Imagine fire season as more than just a news headline. It's an annual threat. In 2025, Los Angeles saw wildfires that destroyed over 18,189 structures in January alone. Nearly 200,000 people were forced to evacuate. Homes, businesses, memories, gone in an instant. For the poorest, it's more than loss, it's erasure. Rebuilding requires money that many don't have. Insurance premiums have surged, and many insurers pulled out of high-risk areas. No coverage, no backup plan. For those living paycheck to paycheck, starting over is impossible. Savings are wiped out, and options vanish. And the challenges don't stop there. Flash floods are predicted to cause damage that rivals or exceeds that of the fires. When floodwaters rise, they don't discriminate. They wash away the fragile lives of those already struggling. The poorest, they are swept away, both literally and figuratively. According to Swiss Re and AccuWeather, California's wildfire damage reached between $250 and $275 billion, with insured losses topping $40 billion. While the numbers are staggering, the most devastating impact is felt by those who can't access insurance or government aid. They're trapped in a cycle: rebuild, disaster strikes, start over, and no safety net. This isn't just a cycle, it's a cumulative problem. Each disaster deepens poverty. Rising rent, skyrocketing recovery costs, and no safety nets are signs of climate injustice. In a city where fires and floods come faster than recovery, who gets left behind? And why is it always those who can least afford to rebuild? 18,000 homes lost, 200,000 displaced, and $40 billion in insured losses. These aren't just numbers. They are erased lives demanding we rethink aid, rebuild, and safety nets. Can the system hold up when the next disaster strikes? Why or why not? Number 8. Mental health decline and community trauma. Mental health in LA. Let's just say Freud wouldn't know where to start. In the city famous for sunshine and palm trees, shadows have grown darker. The homelessness crisis isn't just about tents. It's ripping mental stability apart, brick by brick. Unhoused individuals suffer deep wounds, chronic trauma, paranoia, untreated mental illnesses. These aren't buzzwords. They are daily realities for people with no access to psychiatric services or steady medication. Picture someone staying awake for nights on end, heart pounding from stress. Now imagine that as a way of life. Nearby residents aren't immune. Fear sets in where families live. Imagine your child witnessing a meltdown outside your front door. First responders carry a new kind of fatigue, secondary trauma. They see the same faces, the same pain, over and over. And the system? It's collapsing. Emergency psychiatric beds are disappearing like cheap studio apartments. Providers are scarce. Those without insurance or ID left out in the cold. The result? Untreated people, community anxiety, and a system overwhelmed by urgent need. The effect isn't just emotional, it's psychological. Trauma becomes routine. Sanity becomes endangered. And that worn-down community you pass by every morning, they're carrying stories no one hears. Have you ever wondered who's helping the helpers? This isn't a soap opera. It's the real-life emotional bankruptcy of a city overloaded with suffering. When help exists, it's weeks away, or even miles, and yet voices persist. Small clinics, outreach volunteers, brave neighbors, they appear where the system fails. They are the unexpected lanterns in the cold. What's next? When trauma becomes routine and help becomes a luxury, sanity itself becomes endangered. Are we okay with that? Can a city survive when its mental health system is in crisis? Comment, mental health crisis, because it is not just about homelessness, but affects everyone. Number 9. Immigrant struggles. Have we met? I'm the one who came to chase the American dream, only to find myself sleeping on a sidewalk. Let's be real. 1 in 3 people in Los Angeles is an immigrant, chasing hope. But many end up sleeping in cars, tents, or under bridges. You picture a fresh start. Coachella sunsets, Trader Joe's aisles, but reality bites. In California, nearly 27% of residents are foreign-born, higher than any other state. That's a quarter of the state, and in LA, it feels like half your neighbors. Yet many arrived without work permits, without legal documents, and without a safety net. They pay rent on time, show up to work, but still, they lose homes. Then boom, that tent pops up. So why does this feel like betrayal? They thought they'd escape hardship. Instead, they bumped into limited jobs, sky-high rent, and zero help because, well, no permission stamp on their papers, no proper income, no government aid. I came to build a future, they say, but ended up building a shelter, not a home. Let me tell you the story of Carlos, a father from Mexico who moved to the United States with his family, seeking a better life. Carlos worked 2 jobs, one as a construction laborer and the other in a restaurant. For years, he paid his rent on time and took care of his family, always with the hope of securing a permanent legal work status. But in 2023, his apartment complex was sold to a new landlord who raised the rent by 50%. Carlos couldn't keep up, and by the time his work visa renewal came through, his family was evicted. Without the legal status he needed to secure another place to live, he found himself sleeping in his car with his wife and children. Their dream had turned into a nightmare. Are you asking, how many? Official counts don't ask immigration status, but we know millions experienced homelessness. A surge in immigration actually inflated the 2024 homeless count nationally. That means the actual struggle runs deeper, and it's personal for so many. Let's pause. Does that surprise you? Should it? These aren't just numbers. These are humans, working 2 jobs, but still sleeping in cars. Mothers, brothers, friends with visas pending. Their dreams are tangled in paperwork, not Hollywood lights. Number 10. Community-led hope and recovery. But here's where the story flips. The cavalry isn't coming, because the cavalry is already here, and they're wearing local name tags. When Los Angeles faced the homelessness crisis, it didn't wait around for miracle policies. It was neighborhoods like yours that took action. Take North Hollywood, for example, where the Chandler Tiny Home Village transformed a plot of land the size of a strip mall into 40 tiny houses, 75 beds, complete with Wi-Fi, meals, showers, and even a dog park, all built for just $5 million in a few short months. Fast, dignified, functional, and this isn't a one-time thing. Non-profits like Hope the Mission and Midnight Mission stepped up with real solutions, providing not just housing, but the help needed to rebuild lives, mental health support, legal services, and job training. These aren't just beds, they're blueprints for recovery. For instance, the Weingart Center in Skid Row served over 1 million meals in 2024, along with re-entry services and housing assistance. That's not just feeding people, that's investing in recovery. Now, LA has 11 tiny home villages, offering safe shelter to hundreds of people. But here's the catch. Operating costs topped $40 million in the latest fiscal year, with over $8.5 million spent just on essentials beyond staffing. Some say it's not scalable, but others argue that compared to the costs of policing and hospitalization, it's a bargain, especially if it can help reduce poverty in the long run. The data backs it up. Residents in tiny homes are 3 times more likely to move into permanent housing than those in traditional shelters, and people feel safer. The encampments shrink, and neighborhoods can breathe again. This model works if we want it to, but it needs more than just cash. It needs commitment. It needs you to trust grassroots energy and scale it up smartly. Hope isn't a policy, it's a practice, and people in LA are already living it. Now, your turn. Should more cities follow LA's tiny home model? Or does your town need something different? Can community success exist without high taxes? Los Angeles, once the city of dreams, is now struggling to bring hope to those in need. The homelessness crisis is not just a government problem, it is a societal problem. As a society, we must ask ourselves, can we truly call ourselves equitable if we fail to protect the most vulnerable? It's time for real change. There need to be lasting solutions, not just temporary fixes. Communities and governments must work together to restore the American dream for all. What do you think? Can we save the American dream? Or is it too late? If you believe in change, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Roamkind. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming videos as we continue to explore and drive meaningful change. Together, we can make a difference.